G'day viewers, and welcome to another Phil and Jen in the Philippines. It's Phil here, of course. And before we start, let's do the usual: subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you wish, and comment if you will. The subject of today's videos is what I've observed over the last probably 10 or 11 years of travelling with both Thailand and the Philippines and other Asian countries in regard to expats, and give you a little bit of a pre-warning. A lot of people come to the Philippines and other Asian countries, and it's relatively cheap compared to where they've come from, and they come with the desire to possibly form relationships or meet a young lady and form a relationship, and a relatively cheap lifestyle. But they're a word of warning. I see time after time after time expats coming to countries such as the Philippines. They start with all good intentions and they fall into a trap. They come over, they're not all that successful with finding a lady, or they find a particular lady, they cohabitate, they do whatever they wish, and then they get into a routine of mixing with other expats or locals, and that routine usually involves alcohol. Now, alcohol here, and smoking, because both of those vices are relatively cheap compared to where we came from, is a social activity. The unfortunate thing, anyone that's travelled to Asia will see expats sitting in bars for whatever reason, whether they're just lonely or for the companionship or to pick up a lady or whatever, and you'll see them there from dawn till dusk. Now, this is a trap that a lot of expats fall into, because it is easy, it is a place to socialise, and alcohol becomes a huge draining problem on expats that come to foreign countries, because of how cheap it is and the social activity that is around it, of course. And then there's smoking. I can't say too much about smoking. I'm a smoker myself, but that's cheap to do. But it's not unusual to see bars and cafes full of expats drinking alcohol, getting drunk, making arseholes of themselves day in and day out. And they are a lot of the times the same faces all the time. Now, I am not knocking that lifestyle to a certain degree if you have some control on your consumption. The problem is alcohol's an insidious thing that creeps up on you. This is a cheap place to partake of that particular habit, and inevitably it's part and parcel of the downfall of many expats. So if you're coming out and you do have a penchant for booze, come out on a holiday, get yourself blind, have a great time. And when you hear guys, and I'm saying this to Aussies and Yanks and whatever, keep it down. I was sitting in a place the other day, and there was 3 guys behind me. They happened to be Australians, and they were the noisiest people in the bar. They'd been in the country for 5 minutes. They were over here having a good time, and no one's knocking a good time, but everyone in the joint, expats, locals, don't want to hear about it. Yes, you've been able to afford the ticket to come here. It does not entitle you to be a right out and out prick or pricks. So keep it down, keep a little bit modest, have a good time, but no one wants to hear your worries, at the top of your voice, and who you scored with last night, and what a great place or what a shithole this is. You're only asking for trouble. Now, the other thing, so keep that in mind. The other thing I was going to talk about today, as I said, I love the comments and whatever. A couple of people asked me, the last time I was here, I had a few small projects. One of them was expat services, which we put a website online. The website itself, services that were rendered there, such as investigative services and whatever, considering my background, was a paid for service. Now, the unfortunate thing is a lot of people that have an interest in coming to the Philippines are watching their pennies, and I understand that. We offered the service, and we got a lot of inquiry as far as that's concerned, but tracking down somebody, or at least investigating people in an island or an archipelago like the Philippines with 7,500 people, no one does it for nothing. I've obviously got to pay people to on the other side of the country to go and investigate people, and I'm not obviously going to hand over those funds. And expats, don't like handing over money. I can understand that. But we let the service go for a period of time. Notoriously, no one or very few people wanted to pay any money for the services that were offered, so inevitably we closed that particular service down. No big deal. Wasn't a big deal to actually set up, so we closed it down. I returned to Australia, or it was going for some time whilst I was in Australia, but it just became uneconomical for the amount of requests that we were getting to actually fund it ourselves. Now, in relation to what I'm doing at the moment, which is the film business, a piece of advice I'll give people that come over here is to keep busy, keep a routine going, have an interest in something other than the bars and other than the girls and whatever. People that don't have an interest in something generally don't survive, or die of cirrhosis, or their health goes downhill, or they get tremendously overweight. I've worked all my life, and I find it very difficult just to sit round shooting the breeze with people, new and old, because it gets rather tiresome and rather boring. So I keep involving myself in projects. This particular one, because a lot of people have asked, in fact some have stated ridiculously that they think this is some type of scam. Well, if it is a scam, it's a terrible scam, because it's going to cost myself and Christopher a hell of a lot of money. We're not raising funds in the Philippines. We are a private group using our own money to pursue this project. We don't need any funding. And for those out there that sit there and scoff and carry on and whatever, even this channel is not monetized. There is no PayPal. I don't need the funds. There was some comments also about Jen and the family, and that I was a walking ATM, things that I basically don't, or I state to expats not to be on. I've got a ready-made family, all this type of thing. I am married to Jen, have been for a period of time, and we've been together for a long, long time. Yes, she had children. Yes, she is a widow. I want everybody out there to ask themselves, if they enter into a relationship simply because with say for instance a Western woman, and she has children, or you have children, you expect to take them on and shoulder the responsibility of things like schooling and that type of thing. I've done that, and I'm happy to do so, and I can afford to do that. You guys that are sitting at home scoffing and carrying on about the money that I've made and I spend just amazes me. But anyway, it's my money. I'll dispose of it any way I can, and will. And my intention is to, on my deathbed, to die with the last dollar I've ever made, paying for the beers, to celebrate that death, and die broke. That's something I've chosen to do, because you can't take it with you. Now, I know everybody's in that situation, and I'm not espousing that everyone should do exactly what I do. But it's my money, and I'll spend it any way I like, and not whinge about it. But anyway, apart from that, as I said, when you come to a place like this, keep busy. It doesn't have to be an enterprise such as I'm undertaking or whatever. It can be small things. It can be jogging. It can be an interest in the local school. Keep busy. It lengthens your life. It keeps you out of the pubs and clubs. It builds a happier relationship with your wife or your girlfriend or whatever. You've come here not to be an island. You've come here to enjoy your surroundings, to enjoy the people, to enjoy the life. If you want to be a barfly, be a barfly. But on the same token too, don't sit back in the United States or back in Australia and whinge about, people such as myself. If I was here with a pension and a pension only, I couldn't do these things. But I've done quite well during my life, and I'm only too happy to share it with the people I love. Anyway, that's basically it. You can make all the comments you wish. I'll read them and I'll leave them there for people to read. It doesn't really matter. to me what's said. I just think of petty-mindedness of people that sit behind a keyboard and criticise, and when they're living in bumfuck nowhere in the back of Missouri or whatever it happens to be, the western suburbs of Sydney. Why are you people watching channels like this if all you're going to do is scoff and hoo-ha about it? It's beyond me. But anyway, that's a little bit of a whinge and whatever. Take out of this. Keep off the booze, guys, or at least modify the amount of booze. Otherwise, you'll be an Asian barfly like you see in all the movies and whatever. You'll decrease your lifespan. You become a pain in the ass to everybody else. You'll fail here, and you'll go home or be trapped here, which is even worse. Anyway, Phil and Jen in the Philippines. A little bit of what's happened in the last couple of days. I look forward to putting another one on quite soon. And as I said, subscribe, thumbs up, all that type of thing. Cheers for now. Have a great day.